Make sure everything's on. Cool. What is going on, my beautiful viewers? It has been a while. It's almost like time just melted away. But June was filled with aches and pains and drama and craziness, and I am so glad it's done. And welcome to July. To those that have hung out and waited it out, thank you so much for your patience. For the new people, which is actually double what I had before I stopped making a video, my little hiatus, which is kind of impressive. Thank you for coming along, and welcome to my newest vid. So, first up, what have I been reading? Well, I finished up the first law, which interesting. The first book, they were all about 4 stars for me. Last Argument of Kings, I finished in June. It was my only read for June, but it was enjoyable to a point. But I think Joe Abercrombie kind of laid into the tropes a little bit too hard in this one. The ones that he was avoiding with these two came up in here a little bit too much. But I'll get into that when I have a discussion. I believe I'm going to have one with Tori Talks, so that'll be interesting. And, well, beginning of this month is another Key Mark Readathon. I'm on Christopher Navo's team, the Sea Dogs. Little pirate theme, hence all this. But we're currently doing okay, but I've got my 5 books in, and those books were, starting with this one, since I don't have a physical copy yet, I have had it ordered because it was an amazing book, is The Werewolf of Whitechapel. It kind of looks like it's going to be a romance novel, but it's not. I mean, it has a little bit of romance to it, but it's more of a Victorian mystery mixed with like werewolves and a little bit of vampire stuff going on. Quite good. Definitely pick it up. It's part of the Spiffbo 9 entries, which I'll be getting into here in a second. But moving on, I read Red Shirts by John Scalzi. This one is a little bit of a parody homage to old school Star Trek, where the red shirts always died. Well, this one follows a group of red shirts that start to figure that stuff out and figure, hey, something's amiss here. So it follows that. Quite hilarious, quite good. Definitely worth picking up. Next on the list was Restaurant at the End of the Universe, the sequel to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it was just as enjoyable, just as hilarious. If you haven't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, do yourself a favor, sit back, relax with this book, and just laugh. Well, Hitchhiker's Guide, then this one. I'm looking forward to continuing with the series. I have a little box set, which, yeah, I'm definitely going to be diving into later on. Moving forward, another Spiffbo 9 entrant, my buddy Mike Molman, with Becoming a Druid. It looks like it's going to be a happy, laid back, kind of cozy little story. Gets a little interesting. Definitely worth checking out if you like quest fantasy. This is one for you, and I heard it said best. This feels like a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition druid with what they're able to do. Very cool stuff. And then last on the list for the readathon books is Seekers, The Winds of Change by Troy Knowlton, a good buddy there. This is a good YA novel. I would say it's a good introduction to epic fantasy as well, with multiple POVs. Very easy to read, easy to follow. It's got a really cool desert world, and I mean, you got a desert world, you got to have killer sandworms, right? So, quite awesome stuff. And after all of that readathon stuff, I am diving into a buddy read with my friends Tori Talks, Sarah Sparrow, and Nuclear Katie, and we're reading Gardens of the Moon. something that before starting a channel, I said I would never read because it was just, I heard so much about it. It was so dense, it was long, it was 10 books long, and I didn't want to commit to a series like that. Well, talking with Tori and her love for the series, it just, well, piqued my interest. So definitely picking that up and reading through that, enjoying it so far. Definitely lost because I think that's kind of the point. You're not really supposed to know everything right now. So, but what I have read and kind of starting to piece together, I really enjoy. There's some cool characters in there. Topper is definitely interesting to me. Yeah, and was it Hairlock? He's cool as hell. But wait, do you hear that? I think it's a bandwagon. Yep, it's a Spiffo 9 bandwagon. Give me a second. All right, yes, I am jumping on that Spiffo 9 train. And, well, I've already talked about Seekers, becoming a druid, and Werewolf of Whitechapel. But what I haven't talked about is all the other books up here on my shelf. So give me a moment, and I will be right back with those. Okay, so I have a big stack of books in my lap, and they are all Spiffbo 9 entrants. If you do not know what Spiffbo 9 is, it is the self-published fantasy blog off. It's the 9th one that they're doing. And what it is the 300 self-published authors get together. They throw their hat in the ring as far as their books go, and only one comes out standing. Well, winning, but you know, sounds a little bit more, yeah, with the battle royale type thing. But anyways, it's all about exposure, and well, if it's about exposure, I'd like to give as much as I can to the self-published. So, anyways, starting off, number one, what's also in Spiffbo 9 is my good buddy Tori with her book Phased. If you haven't checked this one out yet and haven't heard me talk about it, it's an awesome little book. Well, not really little, but very good read. Quick one. Werewolves, not big or scary, but definitely has a little bit of horror element in certain places, not all the way through. More about mental illness and dealing with it, and abuse, and trauma, and trying to fit in. Very, very good book. Definitely check this one out. Also, we have from a person I share a state with, Hills of Heather and Bone by K.E. Andrews. It says the voices of the dead are known to the bone weavers. That sounds interesting. I've heard only good things about it, and like I said, I share a state with the author, so that's pretty awesome. Next up, we have the Book of Zog. This is supposed to be kind of a cozy H.P. Lovecraft type story, so I want to see how that's worked together. And it's by Alec Eust, yeah, Alec Hudson. Sorry about that. And yeah, like I said, cozy Lovecraftian horror. I want to see how that works. Next up is Edgar and the Flyboys by Louise Gorday, or Gordy. I think it's Gorday. But Edgar Allan Poe, time travel, um, angel of death type thing going on. Sounds really cool. Definitely going to check this one out. The Fae of Castle Garden by Naomi P. Cohen. The cover. I mean, that drew me in. We have Deathless Beast by Andrew D. Meredith. What catches me on the back is a winged deathless of wrath, invisible to the gods. That sounds very interesting, and well, Andrew Meredith is a really cool guy, and I've talked to him a little bit. Definitely want to talk to him more. Well, had to support him, so definitely gonna read this. I'll check back in and tell you what this is all about and how I liked it very soon. Also, next up is The Wickwire Watch by Jacqueline Hagan. I just watched the interview that she had with Tori Talks, and it was an amazing interview. She seems like an awesome person, and this book, it sounds like, well, a really good, awesome book. Kind of inspired a little bit by Oliver Twist, from what I understand her talking about. At least one of the characters is, and that's definitely interesting to me. So we'll definitely pick this one up. We'll definitely read it. I already picked it up, and I already have the sequel as well. Then we have The Way of Renegades. It's a fantasy with bards. Sign me up. Next up, we have Bob the Wizard. Yes, I have the old cover. I plan on buying the new cover. It's a book about a dude named Bob, and he's a wizard. That's all I needed to know. And this is by M.B. Prindle. Also, I didn't say this one. Way of Renegades is Steve DeWall. Sorry about that. Next up is The Price of Power by Michael Mitchell. The author said it was inspired by X-Men. I said, awesome, sign me up, and picked it up. Now we have Rebel Unicorn. Look at the cover. That is awesome. I definitely picked it up just for the name and the cover. Apparently it's about a young woman who is half unicorn and half vampire, and she goes on an adventure. So, yeah. Speaking of vampires, got The Fear of Moncroy. Oh, I keep forgetting to say the name of the person. Brogan Thomas for Rebel Unicorn. And moving on, speaking of vampires, The Fear of Moncroy by Brian Asher. Supposed to be like a vampire court war. There's not a lot of respect given to vampires these days, and I come from a generation where they're really cool. And this seems to be bringing it back to that type of vampire, and I appreciate that. So definitely going to be reading this one. And the last two I'm talking about is The Crew by Sadir S. Samir. It's supposed to be very funny quest type. I've heard it called If Murphy's Law Goes on a Quest. So sign me up. Plus, Sadir's pretty cool dude. From what the little interaction I've had with him, definitely a good guy. And last up is Return of the Knights by Gregory Contaxis. Excuse me, my friend. This is originally printed in Greek, and it's been translated. Very, very good book from the bit I've read before my back just started tearing me up. And yeah, if you like Greek-inspired fantasy, lots of swords, lots of action, definitely check it out. But that is my plans for Spiffbo. That'll be spread out throughout the year. Definitely looking forward to, well, all of them. And I will give reviews for each and every one. But on that one, again, for all the ones that have been sticking around for the past month without a video and wanting one, thank you. And for the people that have come in from just searches and from my friends' videos, thank you as well. And I hope you've enjoyed this video and I haven't disappointed. And on that note, as always, love you guys, and I'll see you next time. It won't be another month between.